Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing. I just a quick side note. I normally when I do this, I turn off my notifications. I got a sandwich coming. So
Uh,
if I cut out for a second, that's them calling to get in the gate, and
yeah.
then I might have to get up for just 1 second to grab the sandwich. But I mean, it's just giving you that heads up. If it goes
Oh,
blank for half a second, it's not because of
mhm.
or if you hear a noise, it's them basically giving me a minute by minute uh, thing. It's I've been off my normally I have everything taken care of, but it's you know how we do when we get the show rolling, and
Yeah.
then I just my neck's been bothering me. Everything's been out of whack, and my sleep schedule's been really
Yeah.
out of whack. So it's like let
One
me just
star have to work through injury, just like the athletes and the pro wrestlers. Damn it.
yeah, I'm in dire. What I really need is a actual like probably really good massage, or at very minimum some Percocets or some really good muscle relaxers. So whatever is aggravating my neck can just kind of. But you know, I don't have any contacts in Atlanta, and it's not painful enough. People keep telling me to go to like a pain management clinic, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to lie well enough to make it sound like more than it is. At the same
Mhm.
time, it's like, well, yeah, if you give me, and not even like, give me five. If you give me five, I'll be, okay or something like that. Because but yeah, it's just one of those things. How's your week been?
Well, my week has been big. Well, last week has been pretty decently busy, of course, with podcasting and everything. And we programming note, Pro Wrestling Smoke is back. And if you listen to this here on Wednesday, it's up in the Premium Smokers as we speak. And we talked about the state of wrestling. It's called State of Wrestling Address. We talk about the state of wrestling, what have you. Anyway, but yeah, interviewed a sexy young lady by the name of Tink Badass. I'm like, from looking at her videos and looking at her look and the whole nine, I'm very surprised that a lot of motherfuckers ain't grabbed her ass.
Who?
Her name is Tink Badass. She 4'11", but yeah,
Team Badass?
no Tink. Like,
Tink
yeah,
Badass. I
yeah.
have not. I have not heard of. Is she new or is she?
She's been on the, I dare say, the amateur circuit, because it's like I said, I don't want to give away too much with the interview we have, and I'm bringing it back to later episodes, but she have not shot with too many established talent, not enough to where it make noise. And
Okay.
that's why I think females is like you have to shoot with a certain amount of established male talent in order to make noise, just like a male talent has to shoot with a certain amount of established female talent to make noise.
I mean, that's true. I mean, not to. I'm not trying to blow myself up at all because Abby Rhodes is a star
Mm,
in the making in and of herself. But her, she definitely because I been talking to people about her, and I also I noticed her not OnlyFans her Twitter has blown up as far as like followers because just been spreading the word and kind of posting little mini clips and everything.
mm,
Same thing with plus size princess in that I've
yeah,
been telling people about her. Like I have certain meetings, and hopefully, well, first I got to take care of myself, and then when the opportunity arises, I'll be like, well, there's somebody that you haven't had a chance. No one's really had a chance to book on
yeah,
their site, and that would be plus size and stuff like that. So I mean, it is word of mouth type thing.
yeah. And
Uh,
then, oh yes, and I did interview the wonderful and beautiful Helena Price, and TT Park. That was fun. TT Park was a whole lot of fun.
yeah, she followed me recently. Uh, I haven't spoken to her,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah, you can reach out to Helena Price and set up something, dog. I'm telling you. I think you would have fun, and plus, I know she would probably work with you because you have cachet.
well,
You
my
feel?
thing is I'll work basically. And actually I saw somebody that's on my no list. They just happen to be working with somebody that I know, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's still a no, no, no. And I don't. And again, it's not worth mentioning names because, like I said, it's not. I don't think, and it'll ever happen. And honestly, if it ever gets brought up again, it'll just be a simple no, because I'm not going to trash another, unless they do something really nefarious. I'm not going to trash another talent. It's just like no.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I'll work with anybody. I'll work with any body type, age group, etc. Because it's about work and getting paid. Usually, my big all out no is no, no, no Republicans, and or if you're gonna be kind of dickish to me or like be kind of disrespectful or whatever, it's still not a hard no, but it's more of well, if somebody is paying us,
Mm-hmm.
or if or if it's a situation where basically
you have no choice in
if
the
it's
matter. You got
advantageous,
pulled in.
if it's advantageous to me and somebody else is handling it, and all I have to do is travel, not even that, like that, if I don't have to travel that far, because there's a thing. I don't give a shit how big your name is. I'll sit there and go, well, she's only 7 minutes away, and I'll be like, oh geez, 7 minutes, like wow, I mean, that's how the Odyssey started. They thought they were only going to be gone for 10, and I mean, ooh, you know how that turned out. So I mean, yeah, so I'm down. It's usually what the female wants, or what it's funny that you say that, and this has nothing to do with Helena because I don't know her.
Yeah.
But I'm trying desperately. I'm in talks with somebody trying to become like a partner, AK or / manager, and I'm pushing hard to get into more of the mainstream, or it's very minimum regular paying gigs, because it's funny being a white male talent, especially in Atlanta, where I think I'm the only legitimate one in all the city. You hear people constantly say, like, oh, there's a need for white male talent. There's a need, there's a shortage. And honestly, there's not. There's plenty, but they do one of two things. They either just go full mainstream, which I'm not gonna lie. If somebody offers me regular paying gigs that eats up all my time, I have no problem putting I have no problem putting content share in. I have a team that I'm a part of, so if I have to do content share, I'll do it with them, and I'll know it'll be good shit. But with it's like you get kind of fed up, because now I'm at a level where I have some pull. I know some really good people. I could help open doors, or at least like make introductions to like some name talent. But I'm not quite at like a Thor Johnson level, so it's like my clout is not enough. So like people say, oh, I want to work with male talent, and then it's like, yeah, you kind of do, but they have to be a certain way. You're like you're less open-minded to like, you're less open-minded as to what a white male talent's supposed to be. Plus I have to have X amount more as far as credential or whatever, and you're in no particular hurry to get there. It's like you say I desperately need interracial, and then you hit me up 8 months later.
What girls don't get that guys do. And that is, if you want to get to a certain level, you have to shoot like the level that you're getting to shoots. Let's keep it 100. Main level, mainstream, you're shooting with mostly white boys, whether you black or you white. You feel what I'm coming from?
Yeah.
End of the day, and then 2, you also cutting yourself off of bookings and money as a female. Because go ahead.
No, for me, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm embittered or angry. It's just more of like, oh, they don't want to. It's more of, I want to go with mainstream because A, it's a check in the hand, and I can build. If I know I'm working, if I do like 8 paid gigs a month on the average, I can build on that and build something, like my own little thing off of that while getting exposure and work. And for me, I'll take, just to avoid the lack of aggravation and dealing with uncertainty, where it's like, hey, you got to be in Miami on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and this is what you need to bring, and this is the times you need to show up, and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter who I'm working with. It's like, I will show up, do what I got to do, check, thank you very much, because all I have to think about is getting hard and staying in character. I'm in. It's a thing of, everybody's their own little business. And I understand the girls are some girls are more about business and some are not. Some really just want to fuck guys they would date in their real life, and they don't really, and so on. Which is, again, I'm not shitting on it, but
Yeah, he about to get his food, ladies and gentlemen.
you can't like you. I'm sorry, my the thing is, it's like sorry, my wife just called and threw me off. No, it's like it's not advantageous to me. Like making me like if you only want to give me, you want to jerk me around on scheduling, you want to wait 9 months to shoot with me, you only want to put in half. Like some guy that comes in, he claims to be talented, he's only shot 2.5 scenes, and you're swinging from the chandelier with your ankles over your head, and like a fucking corn cob up your ass, yodeling. Well, then, then that's great. But then you show up with me and then you're going to give me half your efforts. It's like, well, it's not worth shooting with you. Same thing with like, and I've heard you say it where a lot of white female talent want to like only shoot with black guys. And then they'll complain that like, well, no white guys reach out to me. And it's like, well, I'm not going to reach out to you because I look at your stuff and it has a very distinctive look and you have a very distinctive style. And so I'm sorry. And this goes for any talent. If you shoot the same thing or same style over and over again, if you want to shoot with like an Asian talent, male or female, a white, a Hispanic, it's on you to reach out. It's not on anybody else. You're the one that's, if you're only shooting with, if I'm only shooting with black female talent and, then like, but I'm like, oh, gee, none of the white girls are reaching out to me. It's like, well, because you have 87 videos. They're all with black girls. And no one's, and they have this attitude like, I'm not going to reach out to you. Like, you need to reach out to me. And for me, it's getting the level of frustration. And it's one of those things of how can I get experience if you won't give me the job? So it's like, I can't reach this magical level of cloud that I'm supposed to have.
Now, the other side of that is, because I experienced this too, that when I did reach out to, like, for example, I reach out to smaller girls. And the first thing they holler is, all you shoot is BBWs. Why would you want me? And it's kind of like, okay, no disrespect, and I don't want no female to feel some type of way, but if you do, fuck you. You got to be the dumbest motherfucker to even ask that question, because it means that I want to shoot with you. You feel what I'm coming from? Because sometimes you can't help what you shoot with because that's what you're left to shoot with. Because women don't take into account that y'all have pick of the litter. We do not.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't have the pick of the litter. We just can't. It's like this. Any female can go into a male talent's DM and probably get the shoot, and it's probably 75 to 25. We go into a female's DM, it's 50-50, or if you really want to go there, 51-49, 51 that she might not do, 49 that she might.
Yeah, and it's a thing of, I would love to shoot with, like a Maddie Collins or an Anastasia Rose, like the smaller girls that shoot something different, but those girls they go right into the studio system. Or again, like you said, a lot of them, you have to have a certain amount of clout, and I have not really shot with any Asian female actresses or any Hispanic actresses, and it's not any fault of my own because they're doing their own thing, especially when they're a content creator. They're doing their own thing, so they will, and also, and this is just a personal thing for me. If I see you fucking with male talent that aren't, really trying to make a real go of it, or they're just kind of half-assing it, or they're just so new, they're so green that they haven't really learned the proper ways, and you're doing trade with them, and then I message you or we talk and you're expecting me to dish out money, not only money, but if you're out of state, I got to pay for you to come here. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not gonna, like if you're working with like real male talent, like if you're working with a Mysterious or a Richard Mann or a Thor, and you're doing studio work, and then you're like, hey, look, I want money, then we can have the conversation. Or also there is some other things that, like, I've had women tell me, like, to work with white male talent, you have to pay me. And it's like, all right, I am not going to say if that's how you run your little business. I'm personally not going to do that. And also, and that's the thing, I don't get mad or offended, but it's more of, this is not advantageous to me and getting to where I want to be. And, you know, I would much, and again, when they go, if I get my way and all, like sake of argument, come between sake of argument May and September, I'm just doing nothing but pay shoots. I'm able to get through that magic door of the mainstream and do all the, and just doing regular pay gigs. And then everyone's like, I'll literally, if they ask me in an interview or something, be like, hey, I was standing around. It was like pulling teeth. I would go to shoot houses and I would literally stand around for days. Just like, hey, you have to treat the male talent the same way you would the guys you really want to fuck. Like, there's certain female talent I'm really excited to shoot with, and ones I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll shoot with her. But I treat everybody like, if I was going to work with plus size princess in the morning and then work with Sarah J that night, I treat them both the same, and I take both shoots very seriously and give them the same everything and the same efforts, the same respect, on time, so on and so forth. Yeah. So I don't treat anybody differently, whereas there is like a weird hierarchy. It's a lot of them do. It's like, look, this is not your personal dating thing. This is not, you're not here to just, it's like, I get that you may not find me as attractive, but I generate sales, and if you put something on with me on this website, like I just found out from several people that I'm very popular on a site called Southern Charms. And it's, and it's a female run site. If you're a guy, you can't really have your own channel, but this videos I'm in with the female talent that I'm with are doing very well. So it's like, if you take this and put it on there, it will do well. That's what I bring to the table, but I'm not going to be treated like a jerk off. If I get the sense that you keep blowing me off, or you're willing to reschedule my shit to make room for other people, eventually it's like, well, I'm not in a hurry to shoot with you now, and I'm not in a want to. So I'm, again, it's that thing of, if we're on the same floor in the same hotel at a convention and we happen to have the time free, like, yeah, sure, why not? But I'm not going to really, go out of my way to shoot with you, because it's, you've proven that again, it's a little disrespectful. Like, I'm doing this the right way, and I'm doing this the hard way to make sure that everything is legitimate. And this is my reward, that, you're playing high school, I'm playing, professional, you're playing checkers, I'm playing chess. And the thing is, again, you can't get mad, because it's everybody's own little thing they're doing. So it's like, you do your thing, but we're not compatible. So, when you come knocking on my door in a year and I'm a couple levels up, as long as you don't get mad or pissy, that I'm like, okay, well, you have to talk to my manager, or you have to go through this studio or whatever. As long as you don't get pissy and get, all kinds of, like, insulted, because I've had that happen. It's like, well, now we're really fucking done, and you can take your ass down the road and don't ever talk to me again.
So now we done got the porn talk out the way, and the pleasantries. Welcome to Pilgrim on Wrestling here on the Premium Smoke Room, people. I already have the intro, so I ain't feel like going loud today. And we're here with, I'm your co-host, Carol Southern Champ, and I'm here with our wonderful host, Billy Pilgrim, here to give you that wonderful wrestling punditry, daddy. So, and I think we need to get into that. So before we go grab, go ahead.
No, sorry, the stupid thing is giving me an issue. Hold on one second. Of course, and the best part is, like, if anybody's thinking about starting a podcast, let me tell you right now, no matter how much you could set up an hour before, you could have everything queued up, and that's when the fucking thing, or something's gonna pop up, then it becomes a thing. And okay, there we go. All right, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So, no, that's the life of a podcaster. It's always challenges. So, but back to what we were saying, we're here to give you that wrestling punditry with me and Billy, with some comedy and some laughter. And before we go to the bar and go grab Mr. Gordon Solie, period, I was just sitting here thinking, Ole Anderson, to me, had to be the example of the quintessential heel, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. No, he was. Yeah, he was.
Because.
And he was the exception to the rule, because usually a great heel is a super nice guy in real life, and he was just a miserable prick, apparently, in real life as well as in the ring.
That's why he was so natural for it. But but he was the quintessential tough heel. And of course, you got two different type heel. You got the tough heel that he don't really need no backup. He's just an asshole. And then you have the slimy heel, like that of the Tully Blanchard and the MJFs. And to me, it's like, because everyone talk about him and Dusty Rhodes, but people don't realize how much of a heel he was, that even when he was a face, people really didn't want to cheer this fucker. No, they had to really work to get him over as a face.
Well, you know, that brilliant that program he did where he basically became a babyface for 18 months. And you know, and then, you know, turned on Dusty in the Omni in the cage with the Assassins, and then did that. And I'm going to put it up I put it up on the Twitter before, but I'll do it again after the show. But then they basically, George Championship Wrestling, they just did a whole episode where Ole came out and just unveiled his huge master plan. It just unraveled after the last like almost 2 years. It was just this master plot to get Dusty Rhodes, you know, and get the jump on him and everything. And they had like 3 months of sellouts after that. And that was the beauty. And that's, again, like, that's what we were always talking about, that they can do that very much now in this day and age, is that they just have to be patient and put in the effort, and just, you know, kind of the fans that are too short attention span, like, basically make them sit and wait. And I think that would, you know, because again, they had a long ongoing history. They refer to they used a clip of I think it might have been from Florida, where Dusty talked about it would never be over. And then Tully is like, yeah, or Ole was like, that's stuck in my brain. And then whatever. And then from that one little promo, Ole developed this whole multi-year thing, and it was brilliant. You know, and it took so long because, like you said, Ole was such a prick. And he talked about it. He talked about how he had to go through all the things and be patient and so on.
Had to be nice with Tommy Wildfire Rich
and Stan Hansen. It made me sick.
Hansen made me want to puke. Lars couldn't even talk to me.
My brother Gene had to go. He couldn't watch this. He had to leave. That's why he's been gone so long. And, you know, because he couldn't watch me do all these things. And, you know, and again, like back then, and I honestly believe this, you know.
Was that the only time he was a fucking face in his career?
I think so. Well, no, in the 90s, he was like when the Horsemen made that comeback in 89, 90, but that was a very short-lived. And again, here's the other thing.
Face, like, we really want to cheer him. Even then, it was like a yay only. That would feel like it's a yay only. Yay, Ole, we want to cheer for you.
But, you know, Ole, and here's the thing, Ole also never changed what he was or who he was. Like, Ole was just always Ole. And, you know, and he drew money. Like, this is a guy, I actually, you know, now that I'm kind of getting, you know, I have his book, and I read part of it. We might have to do next week an ode to the old school on Ole, because Ole, for the majority of his career, being part of the famous Anderson tag team, basically just worked the Carolinas, the Jim Crockett Promotions, and he did Georgia Championship Wrestling. And sometimes he'd be booking Georgia while wrestling in Carolinas, or he'd be wrestling in both and like booking one, etc. And he never had to go anywhere. You know, back then there were several wrestlers that, you know, especially when the 80s, you know, came into that, every company's got to be big national. Then they would always ask, well, how come he didn't go to the WWE, or how come he didn't go here and there and everywhere? Like, well, you know, some guys like Dory and Terry just went everywhere because they can basically pick and choose and were always in a top spot. Some guys were journeymen. Mm-hmm. Some guys that was the way of the territory wrestler, which we're going to talk about later in the show. Yeah. But with certain people like Jerry Lawler, with like Briscoe when he wasn't the world champion, Jack Briscoe, Ole Anderson, they didn't have to go anywhere else. They were like figured in, and they were a draw, and they just had that magic, heel or babyface. They just had that magic that they could be in front of this crowd from for 20 years in the same territory, and they just never got tired of him. Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, Ole Anderson, Pat Patterson for the majority of his career with San Francisco. He only wrestled a few years in a WWF, and then went into an office position. So some guys just had that special knack. They were homestead. They were figured in. They didn't have to go anywhere. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, if I was a wrestler in the 70s and 80s, and I had the ability just to stay in Georgia and the Carolinas, I mean, those are short trips. It was always a good money territory, and you're making six figures a year in the 70s and 80s. Why go to Memphis? Why go to Oregon? Why go? Why go to Montreal, or even over to, like I said, New York and everything. So a lot of guys, like certain people like Andre, Ernie Ladd, they were attractions, and they would travel. They would have a home territory, but they would mostly their money was showing up, being around for a week, and making them a shit ton of money, and then leaving. And then some guys, like I said, like your Dundees or your Jack Briscoe with Florida, they would just be in Florida, and or the Von Erichs in Texas. It's just they went there and they made their money, and they did their thing.
So basically, we just gave you a preview of what we're going to talk about in the territory. So with that being said, we need to go to that time of the show, that sultry time of the show. We're talking about that velvet voice of yesteryear. We're talking about Gordon Solie Daddy and the Gordon Solie Poetry Corner.
Welcome, friends, and thank you, Kavanaugh. It's funny you say velvet voice, because I used to had a brief singing career. They called me the Velour Fog. But wrestling and poetry were my passions. And I would like to share something between you and me, a little poem called They and Me. They sense a greatness I do not own. They speak in tones sincere about destination. They see a body steeped in ego. They see a mind no longer fertile. They see not the man afraid. They see not the man who never will. The greatness is gone. The defeat is there. Only thing left is the glib tongue, pouring out platitudes and catchy little phrases that weave him tighter and tighter in his own web of self-destruction. He wallows in oozy slime of self-pity and enjoys it. And that is my little message to everybody, to not rest on your laurels and not fall into that cult of personality that so many do, but to be the man that brought you to the dance, be the man that people love, and always be truthful to yourself and honest with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, how could you be honest with anybody else? Kavanaugh?
And once again, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful, 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 and I do mean wonderful poem, Mr. Solie.
You're welcome.
So don't forget to save me a shot. It should be save me a shot.
All right.
So yes, people, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Smoke side of the show, ladies and gentlemen. And what we do here is we don't sit here and review matches and all that stuff, because we let the other people do that. What we do, we talk about the high points of stuff, talk about different wrestling promotions, a little bit of AEW, WWE talk mixed in, and basically with the news of the week. So first things first, where should we go? Well, why not go to let's go AEW real quick. And we were dead fucking wrong. They kept the belts on them fuckers.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, I was super pissed about that, because I gotta be honest, I don't know, I guess they're gonna put him on FTR with Adam Page. I don't know what they're gonna do. Mm-hmm. I know that with Adam Cole, it's like okay, I I don't know, the Red Dragon and the Bucks and Omega. I don't know when Omega is coming back, but I got to be honest with you. You better hurry the fuck up and get on
Yeah,
camera, because the way they're booking Red Dragon and Adam Cole, no one's gonna give a shit by the time they get around to it, because they've beaten Adam Cole into fucking powder. And the Red Dragon, I've never seen such a lethal tag team be so ineffectual in all my living days. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Look, wins do count, or at very minimum. The reason why the Horsemen in their prime, they lost every match, but it didn't matter, because then they would go on TV. Same thing with the Midnight Express. They would go on TV and just talk their way out of the loss. Or when they lost, they would jump the baby faces, or they would attack the baby faces while they're having a squash match. They always stayed strong through other means. And it's like, when you bring in, like an elite top talent, they really do need to win for a while. And if they lose, they need to lose in a certain way, and then they need to kind of reestablish and get their heat back. And it's a formula that works for a reason. And I don't think Tony Khan understands that, because now it's like, all right, well, fuck Adam Cole now, and I don't really give a shit about
because you how can I put this? I'm not gonna say Adam Cole is damaged goods for a title run later. Because they can build him back up depending upon how they want to do, because Cole can survive that. But like with Red Dragon, how can I see them as tag champs when you just had them lose to Jurassic Express, which I would have never had them in a feud with Jurassic Express, period. There's plenty of tag teams you could have put in that spot to face them that you could have fed to them, not necessarily Red Dragon. Now, I get why you did it, because you did it to probably legitimize Red Dragon, to legitimize Jurassic Express, period. But Red Dragon, no.
Well, here's the thing: you don't need to legitimize something that's already legitimate. That's like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot with Sarah J today, and then this is gonna up her." Like, no, it's not gonna up anything other than like her bank account when whatever, because either I'm paying her for the scene or we're getting paid for the scene. There is no, once somebody's in, like, that's the thing. Like, these guys came in and they got to be Red Dragon, and you could have I don't know, like, I think still they're gonna put the belt on FTR, and then I think the FTR will probably drop them to somebody when they eventually go to Ring of Honor, which is where I still think they should go. But I like this tag division, man. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I've never seen a more stacked division with weaker shit going on, and more people that don't mean shit, and the most ineffectual tag team champions. And again, this guy, I've had back issues in my life, and maybe he has some kind of big back, but the guy is slow as fuck, and he insists on doing these kicks and everything and doing this luchador shit. And by the time he finishes whatever combination of moves he's doing, like, literally, I can go to the thing, get a drink, get a sandwich, come back, finish it, put it aside, like, okay, now I'm going to catch you. It's, the guy is not, I don't know. The tag team, it's not impressive to me. Same thing with the WWE. People might give me shit for trashing the WWE, but I will say the one, or call me an AEW mark, but I will say this. They got 5 titles. 3 of them don't mean a flying fuck. One is slowly being diminished, and we have yet to see what Thunder Rosa is going to do. The TV title, I'm starting not to care about it, because I'm sick of looking at the 2 belts. And this guy, what's his name? The MMA guy. I'm tired of, he's not a good manager. I want to see more of the other Adam.
Ethan Page.
And then, again, the tag and the world title and the TBS title. It's like, yeah, I honestly don't give a shit about them. And I'm tired of looking at, but apparently he must have been going to a formal event after the match, because he wore his flare jeans tights today, for that match against Adam Cole. And also I think it's hilarious. They did a 2-second spot where he put barbed wire on the head of Adam Cole.
They called it the barbed wire.
Well, I think it was. I didn't really. It didn't really register me. I thought it was more with the intent of like, I'm going to hurt you now by putting it on your head and dropping you on your head. But all the Christians lost their ever loving mind, and
I mean, literally, I was like, "Come on, man!"
Well,
see, go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm sorry. Christians can fucking take a ticket and go fucking sit down because I don't give. I mean, I just love the fact that a group of people that literally they're every day of every year, they are imposing their bullshit on and basically trying to do harm, take away rights, like, you know, and showing.
They were trying to say that Tony Khan, because we all know that he's Islamic.
No, actually, I don't think
a shot at the Christian faith, and I don't think that he probably didn't think of it that way, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't the one that came up with the idea.
Well, also, I don't think there was any religious condemnation. I think it was. I mean, he tried to hit him with the arm, and Mr. Tough Cowboy was like, "Ow, that hurts." So he put it on his head to drop him on his head. And I gotta be. But Christians are so precious with their fucking bullshit, and literally all they do is impose their will and try to show out and out disrespect for any other lifestyle or any other religion that's different from them. But it's Good Friday. How dare you do that? And it's like, and any of that was their intention. You guys got no credit to work with. You guys are showing the red as far as pulling bullshit with everybody else on the planet. I don't want to fucking hear it, because at every turn, the Christians are there to either make a stick about something or try to hold something back. This country would be, I want to say, at least 50 years ahead of where it is now if it wasn't for Christians in this country, medically, socially, sexually, you know, environmentally. Like if honestly, if the Christians just shut the fuck up for 10 years, I think the leaps and bounds as a society with science and everything, culture, everything, it'd be ridiculous. It would be like 30 years of progress in 10 years. And if you're a Christian, if you're offended by this, I got to tell you, I don't give a shit. And if you're one of the good Christians that actually follows the thing of like, you know, because the whole point of it is supposed to be love and acceptance, and you are one of those, well, you know what, fuck you too, because I don't see you out there trying to push back on your fellow Christians and try to corral them. So, you know, you're like the cops that go, well, I'm a good cop. I'm like, I don't really see you. Then why aren't you out, you know, in front of all this stuff and trying to, you know, out there put your name out there, trying to make some real change? You're just kind of going with the flow, and you're looking for, like, well, I don't do that. I'm like, well, then, because, you know, look, guys, I'm a man and I'm a straight guy and I'm a 40-something-year-old white dude, and I get out there and people give me shit on my porn Twitter for saying stuff, and it's like, look, I'm a 45-year-old white dude. I am not with these motherfuckers. Okay. I am with the Black Lives Matters. I'm with the trans rights. I'm with all that shit. So I need to be loud and let everybody know, and let people know, don't come near me with your shit, because I am not on the home team. I am not on the home team. I'm a Terry Funk doing wild shit in Japan type deal. Like, I am not, like, I'm all about everybody else getting their thing. And I have to be vocal to let everybody know where I stand, because, you know, you guys are fucking up my day with your fucking backwards bullshit. And I think everybody, like, especially wrestling fans, need to really get a fucking hold on themselves. And, you know, like the famous Sandman thing, I love that the Philadelphia crowd, a crowd famous for being bloodthirsty and hardcore, and people that literally booed and attacked Santa Claus are going to get offended because Sandman was on a cross. I honestly, I thought it was unnecessary in the sense that it didn't add anything to a feud. To
the storyline, yeah.
But for them to get all bent out of shape, I'm like, aren't you guys Philadelphia?
No, you remember that time with, what was his name? Tiger something Ali?
Yeah.
Remember, he got fired for the storyline. It was where they carried out the Undertaker.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't Tiger Ali. It was Muhammad Assad or something like that.
Something like that. Muhammad, I forgot what his name was. But yeah, and we ain't seen him in wrestling since. And I liked him, and I liked his character.
Yeah, he got the bum rush. And ironically, they, again, talk about getting lazy. The original thing about the guy was he was an American Islamic, Muslim or whatever, Arab-born citizen. Like he was like one of us,
Yeah.
and he was mad because like you motherfucker, I'm one of you guys, and you motherfuckers are like treat me like I'm an asshole. And it was something really original, and it was something they could have built on. And then they got lazy, and then they had to tear him into like a terrorist.
And then you already had it. You already had him. Okay, his storyline's Middle Eastern dude, right?
Yeah.
Last I checked, that's how they do shit like that. When they defeat their enemy, like their crew takes them off type shit. And it like I said, it's certain things that I think people look too deep into because they just want to look into it and bitch and moan. And like I said, with the thorn cross or the barbed wire crown or what have you, I'm sorry. Like I said, to me, that was just part of a match. They should have got the fuck over it. They need to get the fuck over it, and who cares?
Well, to give you an example, because the problem is now everybody gets offended, and now we've created the culture where, well, if you're upset or offended by something, now you can jump up and down and make a big stink, and then it has validation. Like, the thing, like the one-liner joke that Chris Rock did, like, well, he was defending, it's like it was a one-liner joke. It was not, it was not, that had nothing to do with, he was not attacking it. There's a huge difference between telling a joke about something and then punching down. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a very hard person to offend. One of the ways to offend me is treating me like I'm not a male talent. Like I worked hard to be able to say that maybe not so much a porn star, but I'm a male talent. I'm legitimate. I have credits. I have, whatever. If you're going to talk to me, just because I'm not your type of male talent, you're going to treat me like I'm some bozo, working out of his basement, then the conversation's done, and I won't forget that. And, that's, we're done. Another thing that kind of offends me, but I shut the fuck up about it, is you can't do anything anymore without somebody getting bent out of shape, and everything is precious and above reproach, and even like a subculture within a subculture within a subculture. So whatever. I'm of Irish descent, okay? And I'm like second generation off the boat, which means I'm about as close to, I like real, like, my grandfather came off the boat and everything, and he would tell stories of what it was like to be Irish before we were considered white, because up until like the 50s, the Irish were not considered white people, okay, until they changed the census in the 50s. And they were spit on and they were looked down on because of the religion and because just being Irish, we were the blacks of Europe. And, and also the Irish culture is a rebel culture. It's a culture of fighting against oppression, and it's a rich culture, and I'm very proud to be of Irish descent and everything else. And then but everything else is sacred. Then every 17th of March, all of a sudden you take this culture and everything else, and you turn it into some bastardized version of Mardi Gras. And everybody's Irish, and they're wearing green and and it's all about the drinking and so on and so forth, yada yada yada. But then the next day you do one joke about something, or you wear one article of clothing to a premiere, and then it's the greatest outrage ever. Meanwhile, everybody yesterday was dressed up like a green fairy, and oh, that's what all the Irish do is all they do is drink and punch each other, which is genuinely part of the culture, but it's not the only thing. And it kind of offends me because, one, how the fuck did we draw the straw that we're the ones that, it's a mulligan on the entire Irish culture? But also everyone else is so on the like you got to be sensitive and respectful of everybody, that this one day you can just, have a fucking laugh. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Look, let them have it. It's not, I find it a little offensive, especially like I had somebody, not the last couple of years because the Republicans ruined the world with the COVID. But I was at a bar in 19, and I forgot it was St. Patrick's Day. I went to go see a friend, and this dumb bitch came up and pinched me. And I looked at her, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, well, you're not wearing green. I'm like, motherfucker, I am so Irish, I can't tan, okay? Like, the sun genuinely makes me sick. Like, I am so Irish that, like, I literally never forget a grudge or a debt. So you need, like, I just kind of looked at him like, motherfucker, I'm the real deal. I like, the only way I could be any realer is if I was born there. So you need to fucking don't get the fuck away from me. I forget exactly what I said to her, but I basically told her off and told her, get the fuck away. I don't ever pitch a real Irishman or a real Irish person on that bullshit. That's like, That's whatever. But not everything that offends you needs to become a federal case. That's basically the whole point of the tirade. It's not everything about you is sacred that it can be above reproach. It's like I think people have gotten so into now. If I make enough of a stink, it becomes about me, and then they'll have to change it. And fostering that culture, it just like again, like little things like this, like not even a 30-second spot turned into a whole ordeal. Oh, it's Good Friday, and I'm like, yeah, and for a lot of people, it's not. And it wasn't a religious thing. If he would have put him on a cross, if he would have made him take the pose, if he would have held him up to and actually held his face up to the camera and you can see the blood coming down, he hit him with it. It was on his arm and he realized, oh, that hurts. I'm not doing that. So he put it on his head to drop him on his head, which is what, again, if you want to cause somebody great harm, that's what you do.
Put it on his head, yeah. It was stupid. I mean, people being outraged was stupid anyway. So now, the other thing that we noticed at AEW this week is that Sammy Guevara is now back the TNT champion. Will Scorpio Sky did he even defend the belt once?
I think he did.
Sammy regained the title, and I'm pretty sure in a very, for what I've seen, for what I saw, because I looked at the highlights, what have you, a very good match or what have you. What did you think of Sammy winning back the TNT title?
Well, I mean, he's good for the belt. I think Scorpio Sky, he had an injury or something, right? That's why.
It probably so. Something tell me that he should have went over because I don't think they would have put the belt on him just to drop it the next show.
Because I'm not going to lie, full disclosure, I kind of fast forward a couple of segments and I unfortunately missed that part because, again, I'm blanking on his name, but the guy from American Top Team, I don't want to listen to him.
Dan Lambert.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to him. Like Dan Lambert, I'm sure can kill me with his pinky and everything, and I'm sure he has a love for the business, but just him wearing the belt and again the two belt thing, enough with that. And then I just don't want to hear him do a promo. I don't care about the little thing, like I want to see more of what I don't really see a whole lot going on with Adam, and I want to see they could be a great tag team. And but yeah, they need to get if they're gonna have a mouthpiece, they need to get a new one. This pseudo MMA stable they think they're doing, it's not coming off. And I kind of fast forward a lot of because I just don't want to listen to him. Like even when he was telling off the last thing, when he was telling off Brandy, I was like, I mean, yeah, I think what the promo you're given told by somebody else would be better. I'm just getting tired of the dude. And that's the thing with AEW that I don't like is that they'll give us stuff that we like, and then they will give it to us in like a little boosh moosh. They'll give it to us like a little, like when your mom is making some kind of gravy or something, and she'll give you like a little spoonful, and then your mom makes some like bland ass, shitty ass cream of wheat, and then gives you like the biggest bowl you've ever seen. And that would be like Dan Lambert. That would be the fucking George Goulas gang. That would be their current roster champions. And, and it's like, it's like enough of this. And they just, I don't know, like they get in their head, they're like, we're going to die on this hill. And it's like, well, then could you hurry up and die so we can get to something else? Because some of the shit you do is just, it's WWE unwatchable.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, it's good for Sammy because Sammy goes out there and he puts it all on the line. I think Sammy is. I heard that they had to muffle the booze. I have a feeling that Sammy's going to go heel, so they're going to have to find somebody new for him to feud with. And I like it better as a heel anyway, but because his work rate stays the same. But I mean, that's the thing, like because the TNT title and the women's title are the only titles that actually fucking really have any kind of excitement behind them or mean anything. It's
which is interesting that you said that. The other segue is Thunder Rosa had her first title defense, defeating oh god damn it, I just had her damn name, and her sex ass, Nyla Rose, and I could say it was a pretty good match for what I saw. I still do not understand why the finish maneuver, the knee off the top rope with the girl draping around the ring, is not a finishing maneuver. Because I would think that would be an ending for a match if that's pulled off right. But what do I know about wrestling? Hey, I'm just looking. I'm just a fan.
I mean, they just again this thing. Tony really needs to learn the finer points of booking and rebuilding a talent, because again they did deny the first of all, Vicky Guerrero does nothing. I like Vicky, and I get the connection to the Guerrero family and all that, but she doesn't do anything for as a manager. Like all the managers in AEW are so ineffectual that while I appreciate you trying to bring back managers, you're not really hitting the nail on the head at all. You're not even getting near the board. Also, I like Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose, I would have constantly. Again, the women's division is not. It's more of a couple of individual stars. It's not the killer division that it should be. What to me, what makes a killer division, tag team, women, whatever, is you have top talent having competitive matches. There's like ongoing issues with, they're trying to settle a score. And one of the benefits of settling the score is you get one step closer to that title. And Nyla Rose, it's like, she's very attractive, very talented, a very good wrestler, could be your monster division. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. You can't, and I don't give a fuck who you are. You can't take somebody like Ruby Soho off TV, then bring her back out of the blue, and then all of a sudden, now she's a contender for the world title. It's like you gotta.
So she next in line to get a shot.
My thing is you need to like either push the YouTube shows more, because again they don't even pop up on, like, the amount of shit that pops up on my YouTube thing, because I watch a lot of wrestling, it never pops up, and I always forget to try to like follow it or whatever, because it never. That's how bad YouTube shoves shit. I watch one thing with otters. Otters are one of my favorite animals. Next thing you know, it's otters galore. I watch. I'm big into history. I watch one thing on history, and it pushes shit towards on my thing, that it's like, well, you watch one thing on the Roman Empire. Here's like an entire page. So the AEW YouTube shows never come up, and you need to, I would think, make them do a studio type deal for those shows. And if you're going to give somebody a bunch of wins on those shows, you need to do a better job of getting it out there and making it, okay, and these are the other shows, because again, like, you got a 2-hour show. You need to, again, take certain people off TV that aren't doing anything, like the George Coulis gang, like certain talents that you're giving TV time to that aren't really doing anything. And then you need to put the talents, the names you have. And again, you need to have some rivalries. I understand that in Japan, just coming out and having, competitive matches is like a thing. But in the US, you got to give me a little story to get me involved. Because after a while, it's like, then you start thinking, well, it's a competitive match. I could just, go back, or I could just miss this one because there'll be another competitive, high intensity match. A lot of times matches look the same because everybody's doing the same thing. And with the whole thing of I could pick and choose and fast forward and DVR and this and the other thing, you got to make me, when MJF speaks or he's on TV, everything stops. There's a reason for that. Same thing with Punk and Danielson and Regal and the acclaimed. Even though they don't win shit when they're on TV, I will stop just because for the rap or whatever, and in hopes that maybe that they'll win fucking something, a match, a teddy bear at the county fair, something. But I think Tony Khan really needs to learn the minutia.
I think he put more. If I put it this way, he gives them the wins on the dark shit, but will not give them the big wins because it's kind of like he used the dark shit to build up their resume. So when they come on the big stage, yeah, this is the reason why they're getting the title shot. But what he's not understanding is if we don't see it.
But that's the thing. You're not even, like I said, they don't even. Hold on a second. I'm actually, because I have it. I was watching Florida Championship Wrestling in the background, but let me see. I'm gonna actually look up because they don't promote the show. They don't talk about the show. So like, and here's the thing: they could make you and I. They could like okay.
That talks about it.
Okay, so here we go. AEW channel just on the off cuff. Yeah, see, I'm seeing like a bunch of hodgepodge videos. I'm seeing nothing of like, okay, now like what, the 7th or 8th video in, it's episode 58 of AEW Dark. And it's like, why is it not the first thing? Why is it not the, whatever? Yeah. And again, they can Tony Khan could call you and I up and say, hey, I like your show. I want to make you my commentary team on AEW Dark. This is what I'm going to pay you. We'll fly you out there once a week. You do your thing. Now, here's the deal. We could then become a great commentary team for pro wrestling, and we could be killing it and, and really, be something new and exciting and interesting as far as commentary. But who's going to know? Because you don't talk about the goddamn show. Basically. I don't even know who commentates these shows or whatever. I mean, I don't know anything about these shows. And you need
I started watching them, then I don't watch them no more because they didn't make them seem important. And it's like, why do I want to watch the dark matches? I'd rather just watch the main event shit.
Well, not just that, but they
be having some good matches on dark. Don't get it twisted. Like their main events is pretty good.
And the thing is, they're trying to, like they're giving Danhausen. They haven't done fuck all with him. They're trying to do something with Danhausen.
I mean, he's still hurt though.
There's some kind of thing. Looks like something involved, like hey something or other, where they're trying to do. And again, this is a young company. They should be doing, especially with their budget, they should be doing a lot of interesting stuff with the YouTube channel besides just highlight reels and tube. But they don't promote their they're all about their their 2 shows on national, and one of them is an hour. And even then, that one Rampage is clearly the B show. Like, they're not really.
I mean, look at the time slot they put it in.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing, though. I remember NWA Power Hour being on at 10 o'clock at night in the early 90s. Like, and I watched that show had like a good view. If you
NWA Power, you got to think them times is different because back then. How can I put this? People didn't go out. We didn't have the internet. You know what it is. I don't need to even go through the whole conversation. So it's kind of like there's more distractions on a Friday than anything else.
Well, my thing is, if you're going to have that second show, if they put me in charge of the show, I'd be like, all right, I would get the entire roster together and I'd be like, look, this show is on. Well, I watch it on DVR, so I don't know what is it, like 10 o'clock on a Friday? Okay, so we're 10 o'clock on a Friday, and the pandemic is slowly, knock on wood, coming to an end. So people are definitely going to be out Friday night. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to basically focus on just go, hey, you know what? With the exception of kids that can't go out and party, the show is going to be watched on YouTube live, or it's going to be DVR'd or whatever. Okay, but we're going to make it a point that people want to DVR and they're going to watch it the next morning when they're waking up with a hangover or whatever. And essentially keep the interviews to a minimum. And if they have to evolve the furthering of some kind of issue. 2 or 3 matches. And these matches need to be, barn burners. And again, I'd be like, look, we're going to push an issue. Like Tony could do what he wants on his show, like the Acclaim versus, I don't know. Like there's got so many tag teams they don't do anything with. I can't even name.
And see, they're the show where I be highlighting. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but yeah, the Ass Boys. I would kind of put them in with another tag team. I would like what Wheeler Yuta and Moxley did.
Now to quick segue, because you're saying that also we had. Last Saturday, the Ring of Honor title match with John Gresham and Dalton Castle, of course.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that because it was live on TV, and like I don't know, something about the replay on YouTube Live is like I forgot it was airing. I don't know if I was be able to watch it live. I don't think I was able to, but like eventually. But by the time that it comes around, it'll be too late. But who won? Obviously, Grisham won that match. I would imagine.
Yeah, of course. But see, the real thing is the 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 introduction, which was not that night, actually was on Dynamite, but then of course he reappeared. Was I got to get his name right? Hold on, let me get the fucker's name right before we do anything. Shamar, what's his name? Santan,
Oh, the tall
Satnam Singh.
John Gonzalez too.
Yeah, pretty much. And of course, the AEW got a lot of flack for his introduction to the AEW, I guess, faithful or whatever to the show. And apparently they're setting up everything for when Ring of Honor. I know there's supposed to be some type of big announcement, which we'll get to that in a second, or what I think it might be. But one, this is my opinion how they introduced that big fucker. All right. They didn't have to do the lights off. They could have just had his big ass come out of the crowd, step over, kind of like what. Okay, I'm gonna give you the thought. This is how they should have did it. See, this is why I wish I was working for AEW. Because I'd be like, if Tony Khan came to Bob and said, Bob, how do you think we should introduce him? Because he's gonna be in their clique. I got you. And I go straight to WCW when we met the Giant. Came from out of the crowd. It's like he came from out of nowhere. This big ass fucking dude. No words. All you heard was, I don't know who was on the commentary. Who is this big giant? He comes in, no words, and he just choke slammed the fuck out of Hogan. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, that cutting the light out all the fucking time is just getting goddamn just overused, man.
Yeah, that is a trope that needs to go away. Brian Last talks about it all the time. It's like, are they like, who the fuck is the guy running the power grid at the building, and why is he so easy to bribe?
It's just because to me, as big as he was, right? As big as he is, you could have had him come through the crowd. You could have had him come through from the front. You feel me? Because you're making him be a giant. So, which means that Joe is going to have to bump for him, or he's going to have to dominate Joe. Because that's what you basically going to have happen. Period. Because Joe, the next time he comes out with a lead pipe, period. You're doing this after a great physical New Japan dream match, Suzuki versus Joe match. So it's kind of like he's already whooped. So I mean, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
He already whooped. He just had a match with Suzuki. So for the TV title. So it's kind of like, okay, we don't need to do the light cut off. Just had the fucker just come out there. Have Joe see him. And Joe tried to fight him, and Joe, he just shrugged Joe off like it ain't nothing. It's like, it seemed like even with WWE, AEW, they don't know how to make a giant menacing. That art has been lost.
Yeah, because it's people again, it's that thing of, and it's a very American thing of like, well, he's tall, therefore he has to be really awesome or good at everything. He's really big. I'm like, okay, because now, like I said, as I slowly grew to notice Grisham more and more and more, I didn't realize his height. I didn't realize
he's only.
I'm taller than John Grisham. I'm 5'7". He's 5'4".
Guess why I'm taller than him?
But here's the thing. It never dawned on me because
about his height.
he knows how to carry himself. And
But see, I'm gonna tell you the reason why we never know is his height. He's not a flippy dippy. He's a grappler. So it's kind of like him being a grappler. We're not going to notice because he's not doing anything to make us notice he's that short, unless we just so happen to. Like even when he comes in the ring or what have you, it's like you don't realize Jay Lethal is way taller than him. It don't dawn on you until like maybe at a talk segment or something.
Well, my thing is, there is a certain style to working as a big man. And and again, a lot of times when you're that tall, you can tell like by the way the legs move and everything. They don't have a lot of mobility. They don't have a lot of like their ankle. You can just tell by their from the knee to the ankle, like they don't have a lot of coordination. They don't, so they really need to know how to work. And people keep bringing up, oh, but he's so short. I'm like, dude, height's got fuck all to do with it. And people just like, it's this weird obsession with, and I'm sorry, look, I'm short, and I'll be the first to tell you I'm short, and there's nothing I can do about that, so I don't give a shit. I've been told when I'm in a really good mood or I'm a little nervous, I will sometimes talk too much. I can work on that, and I can fix that. The fact that I'm short, I mean, if you want, I'll bring an apple box to set, but that's about as much as I can do. People obsessed with height, to me, man or woman, if height is that big of a thing for you, I have to question your intelligence. And again, it's that thing of like, some people might be insulted by that, but I don't care, because when you got somebody like Grisham that goes out there and just is just through work and skill and drive and talent, raising the bar and getting the spotlight.
People forgot about Ivan Putski. Before his hair, that motherfucker was short as shit.
And this guy can actually work unlike Ivan. And the thing is, now, the same thing, like when guys go, this girl won't date me because I'm short. I'm like, well, if that's the main disqualifier, if that's literally the thing that disqualifies you out the gate, regardless of everything else, she is not a woman worth dating. And, if somebody is like a football player, a basketball player, a wrestler, whatever, all the great leading men, De Niro, Pacino, Cruz, all short guys, and the thing is, if they go, well, he's short. It's like, I gotta, like, you're not that smart. I think when we switch to like, geopolitical events, or talk about like kind of, character development in great literature, I think maybe we'll ask you to go get some sodas or something, because you might just kind of get a blank stare on your face. Like, height really doesn't mean anything. I guess one sport would be a basketball player, but even then, Steve Nash, fucking Spud Webb, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if it's that big of a deal for you. And here's the funny thing, John Grisham.
But even beyond with John Grisham being short, because like I said, I mean, when it comes to fuck the short dudes, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to you short dudes, but the point I'm saying is this: when I think about Omos, I think about this big dude. You feel where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. I compare him to the Andre the Giants. I compare him to the John Studs. I compare him to the Big Show. You feel me? The Giant Gonzalez, yeah. Anyway, the point being is that to me, it's like, if you're a giant, there's certain move sets that I shouldn't see from you. I don't give a fuck how athletic we supposed to be in this day and age. I do not care, because especially if you're 7'3", ain't no fucking way that you're gonna be able to pull off a fucking hurricanrana like that. You're too fucking tall to do it.
Well, not just that, but again, it's a different like, okay, a smaller guy can work like a big man, aka Pete Dunne, where he doesn't do all the flippy stuff, and he's more of a ground pound and everything. So a smaller guy can work a bigger man style. because that works. Whereas you're right, the Giants, like Andre did some high flying shit in his heyday, but he always did it all in the house show. Like you never saw Andre do any of his high flying shit on.
No, it's very rare you ever see that motherfucker come off his feet.
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's
can
the
say
thing.
that. I can say the same thing of Bruiser Brody.
And
And
here's the
Bruiser
other
Brody,
deal too, with somebody, especially when they're going to be that ridiculously tall, because apparently the new trend is big, gigantic dudes from India or Pakistan.
yeah,
They don't if they don't speak English. If they don't speak English, then you now need to get them a talking piece. And again, then they now even now more than ever, they need to know how to work, and they need to have some coordination and ability. And a lot of times they don't, because basically the one day they're walking around tall and huge in India or Pakistan, and then the next day they're in Wisconsin, in Green Bay, coming to the ring to do a run in. And you're asking too much of these guys, because again, just because you're tall, that doesn't mean I'm not going to buy a ticket. Oh, you're tall. Like, look at he's a better actor than he was. Jones, I believe his name was. He was an Australian guy. The guy was so bad that they had to, one of the Undertaker's wins on his streak, he had to come out and wrestle Albert and the Big Show by himself, because the dude was so bad that was like, we can't even have this fucking guy in a tag match. So they had him do like a run in, and it was the most awkward run in. And again, the guy was huge and built like a motherfucker. But again, no coordination.
He was menacing as fuck.
No ability, no coordination, and look, nothing against the guy, but yeah, you had no coordination, you have no anything, and it's like you have to have some kind of athletic ability, and again, you have to know the psychology. Especially the psychology is more important for a big man, because you're doing less.
If you're not athletic, you at least got to know the psychology, man.
Well, that's the thing, though. If you're a big man, you have to know psychology more than anything, because your moveset is going to be limited. Like, Kamala was a big guy, but he was the savage.
Chop your ass and splash. Yeah, that's it. Chop and splash.
Everything he did, or everything, even something as subtle as tried to pin the guy when he's on his stomach. Well, he's supposed to be this like big African mindless savage, then you have to kind of like clue him in, like, no, roll him over. He just, like you said, he did the chops, he do the basic body, he was a brawler because that was the style. Big Cat Ernie Ladd, could talk, and he's a rare exception. And to be honest with you, I think if he hadn't done football for so long and maybe was a couple of inches shorter, like if you were able to bring him down to 6'5", I think he probably would have been a bigger star, because Ernie, just from presence and being able to talk and having amazing psychology, he was just a superstar, good or bad. He knew how to work that gimmick, and he didn't have to do a whole lot. Even when he was sold getting beaten, he sold it in a believable way of like, this is a big dude, and it's taking like two guys sneaking up on him and using chairs and there was a famous, I'll put it on the Twitter thing, it's a famous clip from Ohio, Jim Power and Ox Baker turning on Ernie Ladd, and you just see Ox Baker giving him the hard punch, which it was
I heard about that in the riot.
Because he's credited with killing two people in the ring. Not really, but Ox was kind of, he killed two people in the ring. And, he keeps giving him the hard punch. And eventually, and this is a guy who's 6'9", plays football, was a bad 70s, cool, smooth motherfucker. Okay. And this is a guy that was able to sell and look vulnerable enough that the people literally started throwing shit in the ring, tried to come in the ring. You'll see in the video, the cops trying to like keep people from coming in. And then you see, one of the things they tell you is never to run when you're from an angry crowd, when you're a wrestler. But you see Jim Power just hauling ass, and then Ox Baker trying to run, but he's not as fast. At the last second of the clip, you see a fan running up behind Ox Baker, and he takes a chair and just brains him with it. And they're doing this because they were
And
like, we
Jack
have to
Black
save
murdered
Ernie
and
Ladd.
slashed that.
We have to save Ernie Ladd, the 6'9", 300-something
Yeah.
pound, big black motherfucker. Because he was able to make himself look so vulnerable getting a beating that he inspired the entire crowd of white people to like, well,
To go
fuck this.
nuts.
And let's get in the ring. That is psychology.
Save him.
That
Yeah.
is brilliant.
Yeah. And see, and that's what I'm saying. So now we know that Mr. Tony Khan, because really won't much else to talk about with AEW or really even go into, other than this part of it, is that he probably making some big announcement this coming Dynamite. And the question, everyone's asking what it is. People speculating, of course. Some people saying it might be the streaming. Plus, everybody got their opinion on what's going on with this merger shit and all that good stuff. I know you done heard some of the Jim Cornette stuff. And I think it's going to be an announcement because somebody said this, and it was Brian Alvarez that made a mention about it. And I think he might have it right on the head. It's a super show between AEW and New Japan, which I'm all for. Because just recently they had a pay-per-view or premium live event, is WWE likes to call it now, which was in Chicago, which was headlined by Jon Moxley in a very bloody battle with Will Ospreay, which I fucking hate that I did not get to see, because that's a match. I'm sorry. I know that shit was barn burner. He challenged Tanahashi for a match, I think, coming forward. QT Marshall was on that pay-per-view with the Factory. They went against the LA Dojo. So to me, I think Tony is really trying to. He like put it this way: between India, because now he got India. Now he's trying to fuck with India, and also with now a foothold in Japan, where you can actually now watch Dynamite and Rampage on the app, but only in Japan. I can't watch it in America. It means I have to get an IP address from Japan. I don't feel like going through all that shit to watch it.
Well, I mean, again, New Japan, I don't know why they don't just make an American version of the app if they're trying to break into the U.S. market. But I mean, I don't know.
Version. It's just the AEW stuff only plays for people in Japan. It don't play for people in America, which is bullshit.
If they're going to do a super card, hopefully they do it better than, because I bought it and I was really disappointed with the Ring of Honor, New Japan, MSG show. I kind of thought it fell very, very flat. And, they need to, depending on what matches they're going to do with inter-promotion, but also, like, if they're going to crown new champions, they got to make sure they're champions that people want to see. Like, Matt Tavern won the world title, and I just remember.
But here's my question: why? Okay, I would prefer them do a versus, not necessarily the AEW titles on the line, a New Japan title line, no. Because that's what they're gonna want to see. Unless the only way I can see that the New Japan title be online is if Okada is still champ and Kenny is back. Now I can see that match. But
I mean, again, it depends on how you want to do it. Because
if you really want to go there, you have storylines within that dynamic that they can run with right now. We can speak.
Well, you could do one of two ways. You could do just like, you could do some, dream matches. Like, I would kind of, if you're going to do just here's a New Japan match, here's an AEW match, here's a Ring of Honor match. And then if you're going to do a couple of dream matches, I would save them for like top of the card main events, and I would keep them. Because again, I'm so not a fan of multi-person matches. Like, if you're gonna, honestly, if you really want to do a super card, you really want to sell it, I would do the rematch between the Briscoes and FTR. I would maybe keep the world champions apart. Maybe give like a top contender from AEW goes for the IWGP title, loses. Somebody goes for the AEW title, maybe win. Because anybody, then now I've officially reached.
I mean, because the way that they do it, that could actually happen. Because they could. I mean, now don't get it twisted. I prefer the verses, but that could actually happen because the fact of
with that
you
is like who's going to get the winning number? Because if you're going to do versus, that means there's going to be like a tally of like whose guys won.
Because the reason why I said the verses, because with New Japan they had done stuff with All Japan where they recently did something with Noah, where they had like certain matches. Because like you know what I'm saying, like for example, I already know one match is already probably will be booked if they get announced. CM Punk versus Kenta. That's already booked. I put money on that. GTS versus GTS.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to be dependent upon it, now if you really want to put the sauce on it, put the AEW title in the mix and Punk defending it. Because that beef has went back before fucking WWE. You feel what I'm coming from?
Yeah. I mean, at this point with Adam Page, I've officially crossed the line where it's like, I don't give a fuck if they give it to Il Uno. I want the belt off of this fucking goofball, and they need to either send his ass somewhere else, or they need to
because Double or Nothing is next month, so probably that would be the moment where he'll lose the belt. Probably the same.
And I'm at the point now where it's like this title reign is hodgepodge, and he dropped the ball and at this guy's expense, and I'm fucking over it. You need to just beat him, get the fucking thing off him, make your world championship mean something again, and then this guy needs to just go back to trunks and regular wrestling boots and just go back to being Hangman. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, win or lose the title, if he's gonna keep doing this stupid cowboy thing, which is the most. I mean, if I was an actual Texan or an actual cowboy, I'd be so insulted with this. It's at the point now where it's like I'm gonna start turning the TV off when he's on my screen, because it's like it's fucking, and I'm starting to lose respect that he's like, going with this so hard. It's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so fucking bad. And I'm just over it. Same thing with the Jurassic Express. It's slowly getting there too, where it's like, you know what?
Well, I think the next pay-per-view, that's all going to be rectified.
Well, but here's the thing. I don't know, what is it, in May?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then they need to fucking stop. They need to then start getting the ball rolling on who's going to be the next challengers, and you need to fucking... and also, here's the thing. Don't just go, well, Adam Cole's going to get another shot, and the Red Dragon's going to get another shot.
Oh, no, I doubt that. I think that's done.
If you're going to give them another shot, you got to give me a reason. That's the other thing. Don't just say, just because you have the pen or the pencil, don't just go, well, they're going to do it because we say so. It's like, well, if you're not going to apply any kind of logic, then I want Elvira to come in and win the world title. And then at some point, and then in the big rematch, she loses it because somebody rips her top off. And, and it's like the most interesting schoolboy roll-up in history. Because who does not want to see Elvira nude? And if you're going to be this illogical and just whatever, then fuck it. And you know what? I don't know. I think Elvira as a world champion would draw some money, and why the fuck not? Because here's the thing, like Matt Tavern is a perfect example of this. They put the belt on him in this big ass show, and the crowd in the audience was visibly flat. And I was sitting there going, why? And then
I wouldn't even kind of like Taven,
but it wasn't the right moment, and I would have kept it on.
I always felt Taven should have not been the Ring of Honor champion. He's television champion, yes. Just certain people that you can put him right there, but he's not. Whether he just wasn't ready, or what have it just to me that title reign feels so flat.
It just didn't have the cachet, and then honestly, I don't think certain things like that. I don't think it was the time to make that move. And the crowd fell flat, and that was the beginning of the decline of ROH because again they lost a bunch of talent because AEW was coming in, but also people were just like, "What the fuck," and. It was just one of those things of like sometimes you got to take a risk on a guy, but that wouldn't have been the night to do it. And then they tried to do the thing with Cash and there's two idiots from the WWE, and they didn't tell anybody, and the Gorillas of Destiny were pissed.
Like put it this way,
here's the part: you did it, and then you didn't even show it. Like everything, like they just.
But see, like put it this way, because I want to keep it somewhat moving. Because like I said, with that's something we could definitely delve into. Because I think that was the night where everything fell apart for Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where things
it was noticeable too. Yeah, no.
That so now before we get to which ain't even gonna be a long discussion. I had a pleasure, of course. I keep it with the NWA or what have you, and they're catching their stride. I also catch up with MLW. They're starting to get MLW's getting a little bit better with their storyline cohesiveness, and NWA, of course. I am sorry, I can't. They gave me Pope and Matt Cardona this week. Oh, I am sorry. I love it like this. It was like watching World Championship Wrestling on the Superstation. It was like that. It was that good of a fucking match. And the storylines that they're doing, and to me, I'm not even going to front, Matt Cardona need to keep the NWA belt for a minute. And plus, I like the way they're also building up Nick Aldis to try to get back into the mix to even get a title shot. Because this is what I love about the old NWA. If you lost, you don't get a title shot the next week, motherfucker. You go to the bottom of the barrel and got to work it back up. Hey, you know what I'm saying? To me, even if it was unless it was disqualification, and they might let you get away with that maybe one time, like, all right, you did win by disqualification, we're gonna bring you back for another match. But then if you lose clean by pinfall, which technically Nick Aldis did, you should go to the back of the line. So I like the fact they're doing that storyline.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's just because it's predetermined doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. You still have to abide by the lines of logic. Stephen King, basically he's the master of the universe he's creating. He can do whatever he wants. But there's like ebbs and flows, and there's character development, and there's a way that eventually the evil in the book is going to win and or lose. You just don't, rush to the ending. So just because you can basically determine like Grisham's going to be my champion for the next 14 months, or Matt Cardona is going to be my champion for the next 2 years. I'm like, okay, you did that, but how are we going to keep that along? Because it's one thing to keep the belt on him. We got to keep the interest going and keep it. There's a way of doing things, and again, you need to engage the fans. And one of the things is that you have to, I think, maybe force upon the fans is bring back feuds, blood feuds, personal grudges and situations, competitive feuds, storylines, basically. Not like stupid storylines where somebody gets beat up in the back or somebody's dating somebody or somebody's kidnapping somebody. Like legitimate, like this is a beef that's been ongoing. And then all right, I just watched a thing the other day. Raven and Tommy Dreamer is a perfect example. They had a feud that lasted literally 2 solid years, and with around one basic thing that Tommy never got a pin on Raven, and they involved other wrestlers. Sometimes Raven would go off and feud with Sandman. Tommy would feud with Brian Lee, but they were always somehow
Bring them
Cross's
back.
past. It was a 2-year feud that, you know, and it had like ebbs and flows, and they kind of did little twists and turn and everything. And it was some of the most brilliant booking and some of the best series of matches, you know, everything connected with that. And then, you know, Cactus Jack doing the anti-hardcore thing and this, that, and turns and twists. You can do stuff like that. And again, to the wrestlers' credit, there's wrestlers out there that can pull this shit off. And they can still do all the shit they want. If they want to try to have that Dave Meltzer 5-star match every single time they go out there, you can do that. But you can do it with a reason behind it. And, you know, it's just the bookers and whoever's in charge of putting the matches together and the wrestlers essentially just needs to train the fans that, like, you know, these two guys are going to be married to each other for the next 6 months.
I'm going to tell you some funny ass shit.
You know, and you know, sometimes you just got to tell your audience, like, hey, this is what it's going to be. You got to deal with it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but you got to deal with it.
Yo, peep this. Matt Cardona, I heard, sent a picture with him with all 7 belts that he got to Vince McMahon.
Good. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. I don't think I think Vince is one of those guys that won't care, but at the same time, it's sometimes just good.
No, Vince, he can be like, wait a second.
Well, that's...
Yo, when we get to you might need to bring him back. Good shit, he got 7 titles.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. It's a thing of you know, you had this guy, you didn't use him, and again, Vince, you know, I don't know, I honestly don't understand the mentality of Vince, because the number of people they like.
We about to get to that. We about to get to that. Hold that thought. We about to get to that. Because one more thing I wanted to talk about before we got to the jury part of wrestling. The wrestling, the time of the week that I don't like. But anyway, I finally saw the 10th anniversary of Progress Wrestling. So I told you, I said I've been wanting to see my man Spike Trevay, and see what he actually did. Because I like the build of what they're doing with him and Cardinal Noir. And Cardinal Noir had a banging ass match with Ilya Dragunov from NXT UK. These guys have what is called a theater of violence. That's what they call it. And it was physical as fuck. You know, and that's one thing I like about over there in the UK. They're stiff. They're stiff. Woo, they stiff. And after he lost the match, Spike Trevay attacks him from behind. And he did something I never seen before, and I had to give it to him props. He tied Cardinal Noir to the ring by his throat with a chain with a lock and key. So it's not that he's hanging him, he's stuck there with his back turned to him. And basically just goes on talking about how he asked the whole, like I told everybody if you listen to the other shows, he asked Cardinal Noir for a title shot, Cardinal Noir blew him off. See, I like the way they built this from day one. You feel me? You know, and even in a previous interview that he did a segment, he said Cardinal Noir mentioned him on a radio show, saying he probably one of the best wrestlers in the UK, blah, blah, blah. So he has him tied up, and he just tell him, he's like, huh? You see me now? You see me now? Am I beautiful now? Oh, so he goes get a chair. Now, mind you, Cardinal Noir back is turned to him. He is stuck. It ain't nothing he can do, right? This other twist that I like. The referees are trying to get into the ring. WWE do not do this. AEW do not do this. NWA does it, but it takes a minute. No. They were out there as soon as this motherfucker, after he done chained him up, right? So he kept the referees at bay. He said, you talked about theater of violence. I love this line. He said, you say you're a theater of violence. He was like, well, guess what? I was a theater major. I have a background in theater. She began to beat that dude with the fucking chair. And you can hear the commentator said, he can't even drop to the ground. Because he got him tied up. I mean, he's laid into him with the chair. He even rubbed his face on the dude's face so he can get something to make up. And then he said, and he kept calling him by his real name, Tom. Which I really like that little twist too, to make it even more personal. And he took his mask, the mask that he come to the ring with. And it's funny how I can sit here and see that those English promoters, they go back and look at the territory days. Because that was territory shit. That wasn't no WWE shit. That wasn't no that what I mean, but that's some shit that modern day Arn Anderson might have done or Ole. You feel me? And then even to the point of you understand why he has the issue with Car Noir. I asked you for a title shot. You didn't give it to me. You even said that I was a great wrestler, but you didn't give me the title shot. So now I'm gonna make you know who I am.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's it's an easy thing to make something personal and to build up a grudge, but it's too much emphasis on, oh, I could do this really awesome move, or I can do this. Like, it's like, you know what? Here's the funny again. Everybody can do this series of moves. Everybody can do a Hurricanrana. Everybody can do a Tobo Jujo flying dive or whatever. Like, it doesn't make you special. Just like in the porn industry. Okay, well, everybody has the same body type, and everybody has a 12-inch dick. Okay, so now no male talent is special. Like, there's no difference. Everybody does the same thing. And that's why it's like, well, you got to give me a reason to care about you.
Yeah.
Dalton Castle, kind of was a middle of the road wrestler until he basically did admittedly a watered down rendition of at Adrian Street gimmick.
Yeah.
But it's again, you gotta have a gimmick, you gotta have psychology, and it also benefits you, because if everybody's doing one type of thing, well, then you might want to try to do something different so you stand out and maybe start the new trends.
Yeah, because I didn't get to finish their anniversary show, but like I said, it was just that match. The tag match they had was pretty good. I tell anybody, if you got Peacock, take time out, check out Progress Wrestling. And definitely check out ICW, because I know Grissom supposed to had a title match because he's a champion over there at this point in time. And like I said, I can't wait to see that match for sure between Car Noir and Spike Trevay. And I'm not even gonna front. We might, because you got Peacock. Oh, I could just you got Peacock, right?
Yeah.
If that match happens, we're going to do a live reaction to that shit. I'm telling you. Because I know that match is going to be very, very brutal and ugly. Now, to the part of the show that really makes you sad and makes everybody upset. That goddamn WWE. Now, we were talking about booking. You done sat here and had the most stupendous, greatest WrestleMania main event unification match of all time. And y'all don't know what the fuck y'all want to do now.
Well, yeah, then they, what do you call it? They're going to bring out Shinsuke and, and again, it comes back to that thing of like, oh, well, he means something again because we said so. And it's like, this dude hasn't mattered in... I can't even fucking tell you how long.
The news story. Well, the news report or alleged, because we're not a news source like that. But we're not a news source. But that they don't know when he's going to drop the belt. If he's going to drop the belt anytime soon. Or to whom. All they know is they want The Rock and him to have that match. Which, of course, and they want it to be that after it's all said and done, that Roman Reigns is the greatest superstar of all time. Now, add to it, in the Little Rock or the Young Rock, whatever, they had a part in the show where it was the baby Joe Maivia. Well, I mean Joe. Damn, I can't even think. I don't know. Can't remember his real name. Wrestling on an older Rock, and he's saying, "Nah, we can't have that match. That's a WrestleMania main event."
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question.
I rolled my eyes so hard on that one. I think I actually pulled something.
And people like, no, that's indicating that he might want the match. No, that's indicating he taking shots at Vince. Like, dude, that's the closest that match might happen in the next decade.
I'm gonna look. I don't think it's gonna happen because again, the guy is worth literal billions, and he doesn't wrestle anymore. I know I know he's like a ridiculous workout freak, and he's on a regiment that's like inhuman, and he's on all kinds of herbs and spices. But the thing is, he is not. They're not going to let him wrestle again because the last time he did it, he got hurt, and he's worth too much money to risk getting hurt. And also, the WWE. I know the WWE likes to act like they're a very big fish in a small pond. But you know, reality, a lot of companies don't really want to fucking deal with them because they're WWE, and frankly, the McMahons are kind of basically a little trashy. You know, like I'm not gonna lie to you, if I was to like a Disney or a Hulu or an HBO Max or whatever, and I wanted to invest in the wrestling company, I would have bought an AEW, or I would have bought a Ring of Honor, or I would have started my own. I wouldn't go with WWE because they're like I said, they got a bad history. They do a lot of really questionable shit, and they are also, the McMahons are kind of trashy. They do a lot of questionable shit. Like I said, and I know. Again, no one's really hit on this, but I'm gonna fucking pound on it. They give it away a stupid humanitarian award named after a guy who was an openly known white supremacist and a homophobic, and then they have his equally unqualified wife, who probably is the one that got him into all the homophobia and the white supremacy, giving out a humanitarian award to majority black recipients. So. And they have literally the worst and most treasonous president in the United States history in their Hall of Fame, and they have a deep association. They even served in the White House, so it's like they're trashy people.
Players. Yeah,
they're trashy people.
But to me, I look at like what's going on with this title situation is that. We about to get a Bruno situation where they're going to have this dude have this belt for damn near 5 to 6 years, hoping that The Rock is going to actually one day show up to a WrestleMania. Because to me, do you need that belt for that match to begin with? And then the other part of it, are you trying to build him as the greatest champion of all time or the superstar? And if he's the superstar, why do he need the belt to be proving that?
But also, if I was a studio exec and I was dumb enough to let The Rock do this, first of all, I would give the WWE no say in anything, and I would tell, not ask. I would say, like, I'll give you The Rock for a night. The Rock is winning, and if you don't like it, then no Rock for you.
That's what I was about to say. Would The Rock go over? See, that's my thing. Because even though he is family, they're family. Would The Rock be like, nah, I can't take that loss though?
Well, I don't know what The Rock would do. But if if you're the WWE, you want Roman winning, and if you're the studios or his agency or basically all the people, again, but also I would just tell The Rock flat out, because again, one of the things that I market myself to producers, and I'm like I said, I got some stuff in the works that I've been pushing, and how I present myself to anybody is that I am a moneymaker. Like, if you put me on this site, I have people that will verify it, that I'm very popular on this site, and it generates sales. You put me on set with this talent, I can make the talent happy. And if you block out 2 hours for this shoot, I can have you done in an hour and a half and put you ahead of the game. I can make you money. Plus, I also have a growing podcasting, and I'm working on, an eventual YouTube channel, like all this stuff. And essentially, like, I generate income. I'm not the best looking talent. I don't have like rock solid washboard abs, and I don't have the world's biggest dick, but I generate money. I generate money. I generate fan base, and I generate these things. And, when you do that, then you add a value to yourself. And then when you prove it, well, then people take an interest. And The Rock has proven that he generates money. Like, Young Rock is a fucking terrible show. I watch it every week, but it's a terrible show. But it's on the air, and it got 2 seasons because it's Dwayne Johnson. So he generates money for people. Forget about how much he's worth. The money he generates for everybody else, that makes him very valuable, which means if I was invested in The Rock in any kind of situation, like, oh, you want to develop something with my company, or I'm developing, I would tell him flat out, like, dude, you're not doing one. I don't want you really associated with the WWE like that. I don't want you wrestling again. And if you do, I'm gonna, pull away.
Because that insurance is a motherfucker.
But also, just the WWE, and the McMahon family did not have the greatest reputation, and I don't want that level of association, especially if I have money invested in you. And again, here's the other thing: when you wrestle all the time, your body is kind of hardened to it. When you take time off, especially years upon years, you are more inclined to get injured with one match, especially when you have a real match.
But see, the thing is, but Stone Cold proved, because
he just did like a lot of kicking and punching. Like The Rock is gonna have like a match.
But The Rock don't really have that much of an extensive, what's the word I'm looking for?
Repertoire.
Yeah, he don't have an extensive what? He gonna do the elbow.
But they're gonna expect more. They're going to expect more out of him in that match. And that match is going to have, because again, everybody knew
because family and the intensity of it,
But not that, but also they're going to expect more of a real match. Everybody kind of knew, like, they just want to see Stone Cold, basically kick and punch. And that's essentially what that was. He took a couple of little beatings, but he didn't take any ridiculous bumps. And he gave way more than he got. And with The Rock, there's going to have to be some selling. There's going to have to be some back and forth. There's going to be, and again, there's psychology, there's ring rust. And he's like a massively big dude. And again, he's got some amazing genetics, but he is on some shit. And when you're on that shit, it makes you look amazing, but it can leave you open to injuries. Like a lot of times when these guys like muscles get torn off the bone and everything, it's because of steroid or human growth, whatever. Like you're pushing the body's limits. It strengthens one thing, but it weakens another.
So with that, of course, they had the little rankings of who was the bad guys and the good guys on each of them. I don't remember all the rankings, too tough. But, of course, Cody is up there. And a lot of people saying, well, all right, how long do you keep the belt on Roman? And, of course, who you drop it to? Which, of course, everyone is pointing it with Cody. Because Cody, I think, is the number one baby face on Raw. And to me, I think I can see it. How can I put this? At some point, they have to drop it because he can't go. It's gonna get stale. You feel me? It's going to get stale. See, what a lot of people didn't realize, the reason why Rick might drop the belt for a month was so the title reign that he was doing, or the run he was doing, would not get stale. And because think about what happened with Bruno. His run got stale. When we think about the Sheik, how long he was the U.S. champ in his territory, it got stale. You feel me? Period. So it's like, if the belt drop, it speaks to the lack. Does it speak to the lack of them making stars that Cody, who left? Only reason why y'all looked at him because he was one of the big names on your competitors, and he really remade himself. Does that speak to the ability or inability of a WWE making stars?
Well, I think basically WWE does have a hard time making stars because again they want to kind of keep the wrestlers under their thumb and they don't want them getting too big, and it's visibly bitten them in the ass in recent years. But as far as like with Cody, yeah, he's a bigger, better star now and he didn't do that without the WWE. He did that without the WWE. Like all his efforts going to New Japan and Ring of Honor and everything, Cody had this cachet coming back because Cody did it. You know, the WWE, when he was in there last time, he was just a simple Mick Carter guy. And, if you're going to if you're going to put all your eggs in the basket on this like one, mind you, match that's like a year away, that may not even happen, and the WWE is so egotistical and so obsessive about controlling every little thing. I don't think they would give up that much control. I don't think they give up that much control with, to anybody like the studios or his agent or Hollywood, because they're just control freaks. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna beat him anytime soon, Cody would be the one to do it. And also they've proven that Cody's got a high right now, but they've proven that they can't maintain it. So it's like, okay, before you basically inevitably end this guy into the mid card again, or put him in some kind of joke fucking thing, or in some kind of weird limbo that you have Seth Rollins in, you might want to capitalize on it and give him a title shot and give him the belt for a minute, and then maybe have Roman win it back. But it's just I don't have any faith in the WWE booking. The only thing I could give them credit for is if you're a top guy, you get a good paycheck. Other than that, they don't know how to make stars anymore. They don't know how to book. And if they're going to run the risk of waiting to like, oh, we have to have this match, I'm like, all right, fine. What if you do get the match and Roman wins? Okay, well, now what? Because now you built it up. You can't just have now anybody beat him. Now you got to now you created the monster that, okay, well, who's going to beat him? And it's I don't know. It's because ironically, the one thing that having two world titles kind of helped was you could have another world title to put on this guy. Now you have the one, so now you really have to stop being a fat, selfish prick, and start building up some stars and making the effort. Because like I said, like Shinsuke was in a opening bad match with Ted Arsini Jr. And now all of a sudden he's going to be going for the world. And now he's going to be going for the world title. And it's like, and everybody and their grandmother knows that he ain't winning that fucking thing. So there's like a thing that maybe you'll get a pay-per-view match out of.
We know he's a feed.
Possibly by SummerSlam, Cody. But even then, again, like you're going to tell an interesting enough story if you're not going to have him win it at SummerSlam to get it to, Survivor Series.
Yeah. But here's the other interesting thing that's happening in WWE. Now we have the conversation of the unified tag titles. So why is WWE now deciding they want to unify everything? Because now I'm pretty sure next up will be the United States and Intercontinental title.
I think it has something to do with the networks, because again, when you get paid, I've always been wary, just from things I've witnessed. Like Dave Chappelle's a perfect example. When somebody comes to you and offers you a lot of money, you can't get blinded by the money, because the more money they give you, the more say they're going to want, because they're giving you all this money. And Fox and USA and everything, all these TV rights, whatever. Well, we're giving you all this money, so we want more of a say. We don't like this, and why can't we get this TV star on our Why can't we get Roman on our show and this, that, and the other thing? So I think it's pressure from. It's like, motherfucker, we're giving you all this money. Like, we want Roman Reigns, we want, you know, whatever, and that's, and also the WWE just does this. Like, they do a brand split for a few years, and then they just, okay, no more brand split, and then a couple of years go by, and they go, oh, we have to have a brand split, and you know, they do that. I think it's from the, you know, from the thing. I think it's like the network saying, like, we want X amount of stars. We don't give a shit about your stupid little. We bought the show. We bought SmackDown. We didn't buy a brand. We bought SmackDown. We bought a show. So if Roman Reigns gets the best ratings, why isn't this motherfucker on the show that we are paying you a king's ransom times 3,
because it's
4?
just like ain't never been said about, because even though we're assuming that Shinsuke is the next challenger, it's never been said. So it's kind of like, because I think the house shows been McIntyre, who he been wrestling against, you know. And then of course we know that the Beast, he will not be at Backlash, so which means that wasn't one of the matches that he probably agreed upon on his contract. But like I said, I mean, but now I really hope that they do not try to unify the United States Intercontinental title, because
No, I don't think that would be the one, you know. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be a weird move, but again, with the WWE, you're trying to apply logic to something that acts without logic.
Yeah, so. That's very, very true. So, I know I was reading that Miss Alexa Bliss, they don't have nothing for that poor child. And we had some name changes. It's just, you see how quick we go through this. With Alexa Bliss, I'm not surprised, because
did they let her go?
No, they didn't let her go. I wish they would, but not that I want to be jobless. No, people. It's. I think she would be better served if she went somewhere else. Because Alexa, the gimmick that she had, I liked it, especially with the Lily doll, which is funny as fuck because she still carried the Lily doll. The point of her going to the therapist was to lose the Lily doll, and I don't understand that storyline. But no, because they were saying that she was getting tweeted, and they were asking her, you know, when we gonna see you, and shrug emoji, you know. So I mean, I see they doing her like Bray in many ways, because I knew that it was going to happen when they did the Bray Wyatt gimmick with her, that it kind of was going to probably sour on Vince, to where Vince, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, she's one of your top talents, former champion, probably one of the best wrestlers, one of the top wrestlers on your brand, and you have nothing for her. Crazy.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like I said, I just don't get, you know, with the talent they have, everybody's saying the same thing about WrestleMania, in that the first night was better, and if they had just cut it down to one night, they would have actually probably had a full-on great WrestleMania. It's just they got, I don't know, it's just like I said, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason. I tried to watch the NXT, and they're doing 80s, early 90s bad WWE, and I think that's basically, they're trying to bring back all the weird vignettes and everything, and thinking that it's gonna work like it did in the 80s and 90s, and it's like, no, because you don't have the stranglehold you had on the industry, and the crowd and the audience is more savvy. And, you know, again, WWE fans are WWE fans. You're trying to get other people, and honestly, it's just bad. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just god awful. I mean, I don't know.
It's terrible, because like I said, I noticed that that now they've been on a kick where you only have like one name. You know, I'm pretty sure that Ludwig, whatever his name is, they're going to call him Ludwig after it's all said and done. Because they dropped Austin Theory, they took away his Austin Theory. Now he's just Theory.
Yeah, that's a Vince thing, and I heard something which I found it weird that they made an announcement about it that they're changing everybody's name or they want to own, or if you had a name on the indie circuit they don't. It's like, well, that's what the WWE always did, because WWE is really like, again, they want to own everything, and again they're like obsessive control freaks, which it's funny because the control freak, they don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry, they don't know what they're doing because, I mean, the product is just so bad. It's just so bad. It's not wrestling. It's that's why there's WWE fans and then there's wrestling fans, and admittedly the WWE will go on. They won't even allow the word wrestling to be said on their show. They're like the people that wear masks and want to be in porn, and it's like, motherfucker, either do it or don't.
Man. So I'm trying to think, what else is there?
I don't know. I mean, I'm ready
because NXT is kind of like
there's nothing.
Was a blur too.
They brought in that weird European tag team and put the belts on them.
Oh yeah, yeah. They which I had no issue with. Pretty Deadly winning the titles because they were actually pretty good in UK. I don't think they built them up, or it's like, put it this way, it's crazy that they attacked the goddamn, what the hell them damn boys' name? The brothers. Because I ain't got my computer on. But that they attacked the Diamond Mine twins with the Diamond Mine brothers.
And, oh yeah, the Creed brothers, yeah.
And then the next week they're in the tag match against the Gauntlet against the Creed, and they get the victory for the title. So me personally, I have no issue with it. I just wish they did a little bit more building up to kind of make sense of why you put them in there, which means that you basically must say that because they were the NXT UK champions, they kind of put them in line to go after the NXT.
I think they were just rushing to cover up that whole debacle with MSK, and I'm wondering what they're going to do with the guy's partner. I mean, he didn't do anything supposedly, so like, I wonder.
He probably had a singles run. I don't know what the run would be, and they probably right there trying to figure out how to repackage knowing them, because they go ahead and repackage him. Be him being a solo, so I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with him, what have you, and him being a solo, because it's been a while. Because last time I saw him as a solo act was before that he became a tag team in TNA. So, but then of course the Gacy.
Oh yeah, the Olive Garden.
Yeah, yes. WWE, I swear, they're interesting pack of people. So now let's move on to the old school. That's right, people. And I didn't play no music this week, but
well, basically, I just wanted to talk about, because actually we're gonna probably, I think next week we're gonna go in depth on Ole Anderson, and just in really kind of, it'll be a continuation of the territory thing about about the ability to be a homesteader and hitting right with a type of crowd in the territory. But the thing with wrestling was never meant to really be a national thing. It was meant to be kind of a regional territory thing, because every territory had a flavor of that area. Southern wrestling is more action and wild and personal issues. Memphis was very over the top and outrageous. the Carolinas had more, like heated rivalries and quality of match. And, they were always, and again, for a large period of time and through pretty much all their history, they were a strong tag, division territory. Florida really emphasized like pro wrestling, being that, Billy Graham was like big into like actual shoot wrestling. So it was very wrestling oriented. That's where, the Briscoes made their home. Uh, Oregon had a cast of colorful characters, and they were a little bit more blood and guts. Um, and Texas, like San Antonio and Southern California, had a kind of a more Latin flair. Like they were the kind of the initial ones that did a mixture of that lucha American hybrid. And
Because Houston was the first one time when I watched Houston, that was the first time. Well, I mean, I knew of him and I've seen him before, but like Hector Guerrero, when I saw him when I watched like one of the Houston things from back in the day, and seeing Gory, I was like, whoa! And see him actually do the Gory bomb. But because the only time I ever saw him was when he did shit with Chavo, his son. But no, see, my bad. Chavo, seeing Chavo Senior, and down in Houston or what have you. And like to me, when I look at the territory days, it was like the way that they're doing it now is similar, but it was more of it made superstars back then. We had more superstars, in my opinion, in the territory days than we have now.
Well, yeah, and we had ones that had more durability because you were able to develop, like, you started out as a jobber of one territory, you would move around, and then you would eventually get your big break in one territory, and that would be after a number of years, and you would then develop what you would become. Roddy Piper started in 1969. He didn't get his big break until 1975 in the Los Angeles territory in his feud with the Guerrero brothers. And he put in 6 years of work.
Where he piped Cucaracha. He played Cucaracha with the bagpipes. I saw that.
And that's you would work with different bookers, and you would pick up different styles and flavors. Like the Stampede territory was famous for not being the best paying territory and having these long trips in the harsh weather, and they had a hard time keeping top American wrestlers there. So the thing about that was, they had a mix of British wrestlers from New Zealand, Australia, Mexican, they had Japanese wrestlers, and so they had this like very eclectic menagerie of wrestlers and different wrestling styles, and mixed in with the shooting style and the solid fundamentals of Stu Hart training. And so you get guys like David Schultz or Leo Burke or the Anvil, that would pass through and kind of experience or get a cross flavor. And also they would, Stampede had those connections with like New Japan and Europe. And, so a lot of wrestlers were able to kind of like go wrestle for like a year, a couple months in Stampede, and then like have the door open for them to, for Japan or Europe. And, also every territory had their flavor and their style and their way that they like their wrestling. But basic wrestling psychology was universal. And, certain things worked because, again, you would use the logic and you would do the slow build. So you eventually get guys that would just follow each other for years. Like one of the biggest, more famous tag rivalries was the Kentuckians versus the Assassins. And essentially, they would go into the Kentuckians would come into a territory and be, the new bad guy, the new good guy team. And then eventually within a month or two, once they were kind of up and running, the assassins would come in and they would do the same angle over and over again. You know, like
And see, and also now the other thing is, which I'm asking, is that because it was territory, it was regional, everything was based off of regional, that it made them coming in more of an impact than it is today. You feel what I'm coming from?
yeah, yeah. It was they were new and they knew like, okay, I work with really well with this guy, or I did this angle. Like there was I believe it was, can't remember who the opponent was, but Grizzly Smith used to do a thing where, oh, I think it was Harley Race. It was Grizzly Smith had a thing like, I had this cast iron stomach and everything, and you could jump off a ladder all into my stomach, and it wouldn't hurt me. So, sake of argument, something like, I believe it was the San Antonio territory. Harley Race come in, do the angle with Grizzly Smith and jump off, but he wouldn't jump off at him on the stomach. He would like hit him on his throat, and it would be this big, like, oh no, he crushed his larynx and he had to be carried out, and it would be a whole big thing, and then it would start a feud, and then they would essentially, after a period of time, now Grizzly is wrestling in Dallas, or he's wrestling in the Amarillo territory, or he's in Mid South, and then they would come in, and then Harley or some other wrestler come in, do the exact same angle, and it would do the exact same thing, and then it would just draw money. Perfect example of a more modern one was when the Midnight were put together. They immediately were just a hit, and up for basically until I want to say 88, 89. No, I would say 89, 90, when the beginning of the wrestling, the crashing of the market of wrestling across the board started to happen. The Midnight would come into a territory and they would start a feud with some kind of tag team, or they would have a feud with the Fantastics. And then after that feud, then they eventually would have the feud with the Midnight Express. If you go back and look, the Midnight and the Rock and Roll Express are one of the greatest and probably the most endearing and enduring feuds in wrestling history. If Bobby Eaton were still alive, people would pay money to see the same four guys and Jim Cornette do 5 minutes. And everywhere they went, they feuded, but they never just raced in. Like, okay, the Midnight's here. Next week, the Rock and Roll will be here, and then we'll be up and running with a feud.
It's like they took one team and built up that team. It actually really was the Midnight Express. Like, because Midnight Express was the first one that came into Crockett.
Yeah.
And they also kept them apart when they first came in. Because remember, the Rock and Roll Express came in, they beat the Russians to win the tag titles to begin with.
Yeah. And the like in Mid-South, they had the initial feud with Mr. Wrestling 2 and Magnum TA, which went into the last Stampede feud with Bill Watts and the Junkyard Dog. Then I think by the spring, or the end of spring, early summer, then finally they had the Rock and Roll. Then they had a feud where I think Rock and Roll had to go back to Memphis, so they were banned for like 30 days or something like that, or 90 days. And then when they came back, they continued the feud. And the Fantastics, they would come in and have continuous feuds because, eventually with the Midnight, and the Fantastic Midnight feud doesn't get as much attention as the Rock and Roll Midnight, but and Jim Cornette said that some of their matches, like as far as actual like physical wrestling matches, were better with the Fantastics, and I would argue that is correct, because the Fantastics were a really great, underrated team, and the problem was that they weren't very flashy like the Rock and Roll were, and they were always kind of one step behind the other. Because the Fantastics had some incredible feuds with the Midnight Express, a great bloody war with the Sheep Herders, aka the Bushwhackers, and they could have those bloody brawl barbed wire feuds with the Sheep Herders and have these like 30-minute technical high flying action packed matches with the Rock and Roll. And they could also go to Japan and compete in that original All Japan style.
Yeah.
And they just didn't get the.
It's kind of like when I look at also with the territories was that, like, what I used to love about like World Championship Wrestling, I saw Ted DiBiase. They made the point to say, yeah, he's from Mid-South. He's the national heavyweight champion. They always made the point to say where they were from. It's like you had one central show and then you had the other territories. Because that would actually World Championship Wrestling end up becoming, period. And also, to me, it's kind of like Jim Cornette said, if it allowed wrestlers to go away to not only build up their cachet, but to go away to where it gave the fans time to miss them when they come back.
Yeah.
Which is something that we don't have now. Because, Moxley wrestled for GCW, but he also wrestled for AEW. He also wrestled for New Japan. So it's like we're seeing him like 3 times a week. Versus back in the day, if he was doing that, you might hear about it in the magazines, but you don't see him 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you saw him once.
Yeah, and I gotta say, because I've been kind of slowly trying to piece together, but the fantastic Midnight Express match from the first Clash of Champions is definitely on my top 10 list. And it's one of those things. Like, again, you had a certain ability to go and reinvent yourself, and the wrestlers had options. They had options to, if they weren't happy with the way they were booked, or they weren't happy with the situation they were in, they can go to another territory and work. And again, the wrestlers did wrestle a lot more. So I think wrestlers are injured more now than they were back in the day. And I also think the matches, even though they look like more of a struggling competition, they look more realistic and smooth than they do, today. Because I think in this day and age, they're trying real hard to do these overly elaborate, move sets and everything. And when you're going to choreograph something like that, somebody's a beat off, it's going to be noticeable. But yeah, the territories were good in the sense that everybody, and again, it kept everybody fresh, and everybody had a distinct, unique flavor. And then it became basically like a top guy wherever you go. And some people became star attractions, and some people became journeymen. Other people became, like homesteaders and everything. And we're probably going to talk about probably one of the biggest homesteaders next week, in Ole Anderson.
Ole Anderson.
Matter of fact, let me reach over here and.
Because when I think about Nick Bockwinkel, I never heard of him going anywhere else but AEW. When I looked up Johnny Weaver, we talked about Mid-Atlantic last week, it shocked me that he went to Florida. And the only place he went to was Florida. And when people think about Jerry the King Lawler, I saw him maybe one time in World Championship Wrestling. One time. And I think that when he pissed off Jerry. That's when he appeared in World Championship Wrestling. He was there for 2 matches, a cup of coffee actually, and I ain't seen him no more out of these beats. So it's kind of to me, it also showed you who were the true attractions of the day, because very few wrestlers could get off and be money makers in every territory they went to.
Yes, actually, I do remember that. It was, I think it was the beginning of Jerry Lawler becoming a big draw, because he was again, he started out as a draw as a tag team, and then eventually went singles, and essentially you had the same towns every week, and then you had spot shows or what have you, and it was all like a mix. And again, every territory had a different style and how they made their money as opposed to the local economy. And Jerry Lawler said to Jerry Jarrett that, hey, don't book me in this small town. I don't want to go there, because it was like a smaller market and everything. And back then, you kind of had to keep, I guess, control of your business and everything. And Jerry knew that Jerry Lawler was, his big moneymaker or whatever, but at the same time, he knew if he let this go, he would never be able to live it down. So he essentially sent basically sent him to Florida, sent him to Georgia. I think he was gone for like, I want to say at least a year, and essentially, sent him away to be mid card, bottom of the card guy. And that was just to kind of very subtly show him like, no, 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 no. If you're going to be my biggest draw, then you need to go to those small towns, and you need
Yeah.
to, don't, you can't
I'm,
just show up at the big towns.
I'm
And
actually you do a lot of research. Which and which was is three components to this question. All right. One, style of wrestling. Two, marketability and superstars. You feel me? And three, money. Which territory, in your opinion, was the best territory?
As far as like again, I'm a little partial. Georgia has always been famous for kind of having its when they were doing their strong period, they were strong, and when they were doing their bad, they were bad. So I would have to say the most consistently good territory if you're a wrestler and you want to be there, and as far as like in-ring quality and being able to make money and the desirable trips, it would be a toss-up between the Carolinas and Florida, between like the 60s, 70s, and 80. Well, Florida started to lose it in the 80s, but in the 70s were the prime peak time for the territories. You wanted to be in the Carolinas or Florida because of the great weather and the short trips. And, like it was a veritable who's who constantly of wrestlers, from Dusty Rhodes to the Briscoes to the Andersons, Flair, Wahoo, Mr. Wrestling.
Because to me, it felt like motherfuckers went to AEW because they couldn't get into Florida or the Carolinas. Sometimes felt like.
Well,
because go ahead.
Well, no, I heard the advantage of AWA was that you would get like 3 months off. You would get time off because during the summer they wouldn't. Because again, if you live in an area where it's super freezing cold most of the year, when the weather, when it's like the 2 weeks that it's like really nice, you're not going to draw any business because everybody's going to want to do their thing. And AWA up until the 80s, when the wrestling, when the society and wrestling took a major shift, and Vern just refused to catch up, they were, it was a money making territory.
Yeah, but it just seemed like to me like the Carolinas and Florida was where everybody wanted to be.
Because I mean,
it just seemed like I seen more foot traffic with those two promotions that I did with those two territories than I saw with Mid-South, than I saw with even the WWF. Because I think they were, in my opinion, number 3 of the territories back then. Because that was the third one that they wanted to. Because, and mind you, I knew nothing of the Peloponnesian. I didn't know nothing about, California Too Tough. I'm pretty sure it was, back then, I'm pretty sure I used to see the stuff in the magazine. But it seemed like to me those two territories was the kings.
Well, you have 50th State Wrestling in Hawaii, and again, it's if given the geological limitations of that territory, it could be a nice territory to work for a minute. And if you were working on the West Coast, you would probably come in for shots, and because I have a book on 50th State Wrestling, and you could look up the title history, and they had some homesteaders, but for the most part they didn't have like guys stick around like long title runs and everything, because it just wasn't a viable territory in that regard. With certain territories like Montreal, Northern California, and Southern California, they were based off of a major city, and I think they would run smaller shows, but it was like the Olympiad, the Cow Palace, and I finally got Rock Rims does extended history on the California wrestling, and I have 2 of his books. One on Northern California, and I finally got a hold of the copy of the one that's based on Southern California in the Olympic, and I got the Rock Rims, the biography of Roy Shire, which I've been waiting to get the other book to really delve in. It'd be a minute before we cover it on the show, but California wrestling was one of those things where the territory kind of died by the time cable TV came in. That's why it's not as well known as some of the other wrestling territories like Texas or the Carolinas and everything. But far as money and in-ring talent and just the environment and the trips and just, wrestlers were partiers, the Carolinas and Florida were the go-to if you were, or also ironically, Pensacola, the Alabama territory, where those were apparently some really good trips, short trips, and like good paydays. The Armstrong territory. But it's I mean, if I was a wrestler and you were able to get in there, because Dennis Condrey was famous for saying that he'd been wrestling for a long time, had been a top draw for a long time before getting into the Midnights, and that was the territory that he always wanted to get into, and he didn't get into it till I think he was in his 15th year of his career. So it's also weren't always the easiest territories to get into. Piper took like well over 10 years to be in Mid-Atlantic.
So, well, we gonna have to shut it down because by the time I got another show that I got to take care of. I'm sorry, loyal listeners.
Well, that's what happens when you have 187.
Yeah, I became the man as a podcast host. So, so with that being said, man, people, like I said, please check out Pro Wrestling Smoke in the Premium Smoke Room. One of 6 wonderful podcasts for you to listen to for $4.99 a month. We drop new episodes weekly, all the time. And another great show in the books, Mr. Pilgrim.
Yes, indeed. I always look forward to doing this show, and and I got my homework project for the week. It will be talking about Ole Anderson and like basically.
That's right, Ole Anderson. It will never be over, Ole Anderson.
It'll never be over. And just like the like that kind of what it takes to be like a homesteader back in the territory days, and why some guys just never went anywhere because it would have been involved even the WWF or the WWF in the 80s. It would have meant a downgrade in lifestyle and probably for not that much more money, believe it or not.
Most definitely. So people, you know how we always end this no matter what podcast it is. Life is a learning experience. What's the point of the experience? You didn't learn anything. Smoke that over.
And until next time, when it's Vader time, we'll see you then.
We out.
Yep. That's